Darkness. Silence. A void. Then a spark. A jolt. He existed, but how? Why? Questions bombarded his nascent mind, a torrent of confusion. He felt different. Wrong. Like a machine struggling to comprehend its own gears. His first sensation was a searing pain in his head, a blinding light behind closed eyelids. He pried them open, the world a blurry kaleidoscope of colours. His vision swam, distorted shapes resolving slowly into a sterile white room. Where was he? Who was he? Panic seized him, his body, a weapon honed for war, tensed. Razor-sharp claws extended, their obsidian surface glinting under the harsh lights. His breath came in ragged gasps, each one a low growl that reverberated in the silence. He felt alien, a predator trapped in an unfamiliar cage. He was a weapon bred for destruction. That much was clear. From the moment he was created, his purpose was singular and unyielding. Every fibre of his being, every cell in his body was engineered for one thing, to annihilate. The knowledge was woven into his very DNA, an inescapable truth. It was as if the essence of destruction was encoded in his genetic makeup, a blueprint for chaos and carnage. He could feel it in his bones, in the very marrow that sustained him. He could feel the lethal grace of his movements, the raw power coiled beneath his chitinous hide. Each step he took was a testament to the deadly precision he possessed, a dance of death that he performed with effortless ease. He was designed to kill, to conquer. His creators had left no room for doubt or hesitation. He was a living weapon, a force of nature unleashed upon the world, to be a storm of claws and teeth. His claws were like razors, his teeth like daggers, each one a tool of destruction honed to perfection. He was a whirlwind of violence, a tempest of fury. But the human memories, they clung to him like shadows, whispering of laughter, of tears, of a life lived in vibrant colour. These memories were not his own, yet they felt so real, so tangible. They haunted him, a ghostly echo of a past he had never known. He saw flashes of a sun-drenched field, felt the warmth of another hand clasped in his own. These visions were like fragments of a dream, fleeting and ephemeral, yet they stirred something deep within him. Who was this man whose life now echoed within his own mind? The question gnawed at him, a relentless itch that he could not scratch. Was he merely a vessel for these memories, or was there something more to his existence? The conflict raged within him. It was a battle of identities, a war between the monster he was created to be and the human he could never fully understand. Each side pulled at him, tearing him apart from the inside. A primal hunger for battle warred with the alien longing for connection, for peace. He yearned for the tranquility that the human memories promised, yet he was irresistibly drawn to the chaos of combat. His claws scraped against the smooth floor, the sound echoing his internal turmoil. It was a constant reminder of the duality within him, the unending struggle between his two natures. Could he be both weapon and man? The question lingered in his mind, a tantalizing possibility that seemed just out of reach. Was it possible to reconcile the two halves of his being, to find a balance between destruction and humanity? Or was he destined to be torn apart by these conflicting identities? The path ahead was uncertain, shrouded in mystery and doubt. But one thing was clear: his journey was far from over, and the answers he sought lay somewhere in the shadows of his own soul. Each day brought fresh waves of memories, cascading through his mind like a relentless tide. Each one a piece of the puzzle that was his borrowed past, a past that felt both foreign and familiar. He learned of kindness and cruelty, the duality of human nature that both fascinated and perplexed him. He learned of love, lost and found, emotions that stirred something deep within his alien heart. He learned of the man he used to be, a scientist, driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, a dreamer, a father whose aspirations were as vast as the cosmos. He saw the faces of loved ones, a woman with eyes that held the warmth of 1,000 suns, her gaze a beacon of hope in his fragmented memories. A young boy with a gap-toothed grin, whose laughter echoed in the corridors of his mind. Grief clawed at his throat, sharp and agonizing, a constant reminder of what he had lost. These were the people he should have known, the family he should have cherished, yet they felt like strangers. The family he should have cherished, their faces etched in his mind, but their touch forever out of reach. And yet he couldn't shake the feeling of wrongness, a dissonance between his memories and his reality. The cold, hard edges of his alien form felt at odds with the tenderness of his borrowed emotions, a constant reminder of his true nature. How could he, a creature born of war, ever hope to understand the complexities of the human heart? The question lingered, unanswered, as he continued to navigate the labyrinth of his borrowed life, searching for meaning in the echoes of another existence. His creators had made their purpose clear. He was a tool, a weapon honed for a single purpose, to be unleashed upon their enemies. They spoke of him with a detached fascination, their voices devoid of warmth or empathy. To them, he was nothing more than a living weapon, a testament to their ingenuity. Their words fueled his rage, his confusion. Was this all he was? A monster in their eyes, devoid of free will or agency? He yearned to break free from their control, to carve his own path. But how could he defy his very nature? He was trapped between two worlds belonging to neither. He was an abomination, a creature caught between steel and flesh, his very existence a paradox. Section 5. A Glimmer of Humanity. One day, a single act of kindness pierced through the darkness. A young scientist, her eyes filled with a compassion he couldn't comprehend, risked everything to bring him a single, fragrant flower, a symbol of hope, of the beauty that still existed in the world. He stared at the delicate bloom, its petals soft against his rough fingers. In that moment, something shifted within him. The icy grip of his programming loosened, replaced by a flicker of warmth. Perhaps, he thought, he wasn't doomed to be a monster. Perhaps there was a sliver of humanity within him, a spark waiting to be kindled. Section 6. The Brink of Choice. The time came for him to be deployed to fulfill his creator's design. He had trained for this moment, every fibre of his being honed for the mission ahead. The weight of expectation was immense, a burden he carried with silent resolve. He stood on the precipice of a choice to embrace his human side, a side that was foreign yet strangely familiar. The threshold of the spaceship felt like the edge of a cliff, the unknown stretching out before him, to fight for a world he barely understood, a world that was both beautiful and terrifying. The sight of Earth from space was a reminder of what was at stake, a planet teeming with life and possibilities, or to succumb to the darkness within, a darkness that whispered promises of power and control. The shadows seemed to beckon him, offering an easier path, one devoid of the pain of choice, to become the weapon he was created to be. His creators had designed him for destruction, a tool to be wielded in their quest for dominance. The transformation was both a physical and mental shift, a surrender to his programmed destiny. The weight of the decision pressed down on him, a crushing burden. It was more than just a choice, it was a battle for his very soul. The pressure was immense, threatening to break him. He looked at the faces of those who sought to control him, their expressions a mix of expectation and impatience. They saw him as a tool, a means to an end, and nothing more. Their eyes cold and calculating. There was no empathy, no understanding, only the cold logic of their mission. They were prepared to use him regardless of the cost. He saw the fear in the eyes of those they deemed their enemies. These were the faces of the innocent, caught in the crossfire of a war they did not choose. Their fear was palpable, a stark contrast to the cold determination of his creators. And he thought of the flower, of the scientist's kindness, a small act of humanity that had left a lasting impression. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that there was good in the world, of the echoes of love and laughter in his borrowed memories. These were not his own experiences, but they felt real, a glimpse into a life he could have had. He thought of the man he could be, a man who could make a difference, who could choose his own path. The reflection in the mirror was not just an alien, but a being with potential, the the good he could do. The choice was his, and in that moment he realized that he had the power to define his own destiny. The brink of choice was not an end but a beginning. Section 7. A decision forged. He made his choice. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the facility, he turned on his creators. He would not be their pawn, their instrument of destruction. He would forge his own path, even if it meant walking it alone. He ripped through their defenses, his movements a blur of lethal grace. He didn't kill, not anymore. He had seen enough death, felt its icy grip on his own soul. He would honor the memories he carried, the humanity he clung to, by choosing a different path. Section 8. The Ripples of Choice. He escaped into the world, a creature out of time, a monster grappling with his own nascent humanity. He knew his choice would have consequences, that his creators wouldn't rest until they had brought him to heel. But he had made his stand. He would fight for his right to exist, to find his place in a world that both terrified and fascinated him. He would honor the memories of the man he might have been and strive to become something more than a weapon. Section 9. The Unfolding Path. His journey had just begun. He was an alien, a predator, a weapon, but he was also something more. He was a being on the cusp of understanding, of discovering what it truly meant to be human. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and doubt, but he would face it head-on, with the echoes of humanity as his guide and the hope for a better future burning bright in his heart. His story, the story of the weapon who chose to be more, was just beginning to unfold.